Well, hello and welcome back. Um, Taking a little time off from preparing videos here lately, but we're back, and I'll be getting more and more videos to you. I've got plenty of them on the computer ready to be processed. But first we came across the DVD the other day of a project we did in 2011. The Society was involved in replacing a statue of the Civil War soldier on the monument to the Logan County men who died during the Civil War. In 2008, the existing statue, which was there from 1869, was damaged in a storm, was knocked off its pedestal, actually broken off at the ankles. And we worked with a committee of people from the community and the county to replace that statue. So the videos you're going to see have to do with the work we did with that project. There are 4 videos altogether. One of them is an interview with me talking about the research I did with the Civil War soldiers and the monument itself. The second is the installation of the statue. It's going to be a short video, about 10 minutes. The interview with me is going to run 25 to 30 minutes. The third video is the dedication program. It's about a 45 to 50 minute video. And then the fourth one is an interview with the sculptor who created the statue for us. So we're going to be taking a look at those 4 things. It's a little history of the society and what we've been doing, and also history of the county. So you'll be seeing those 4 videos coming up here in the next few days. And this lead-in is to the first one, which is the interview that they made with me in the research I did for the Civil War project. I hope you enjoy all 4 videos. They will be up by the end of the week. So you take care.
Hello, I'm Natalie Morris. Today is March 30th, 2011. We're at the Logan County Genealogical and Historical Society at 114 North Chicago, and I'm speaking with Bill Donath. Mr. Donath is the president of the Logan County Genealogical Society and also a committee member on the Civil War Statue Committee. Morning, Mr. Donath. How are you today?
Good morning, Natalie. Nice to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the opportunity to come and talk to you about some of the things you've been working on. Tell us a little bit about how this project has come, what the project is working on restoring the statue and how it's come about.
Well, the original statue was destroyed by a storm in December of 2008. In early 2009, a committee was formed to replace that statue. And that committee's been working on it 2 years now. And we're just about to come to the culmination of that process with the dedication of the statue on the 9th of April. So we'll be finishing our work for that project. It's been a long 2 years. In addition to the statue, we've placed a interpretive sign on the courthouse lawn near the statue explaining what the statute's about, the fact that Logan County had 444 men died during the Civil War. In addition to that, we have a name board inside the courthouse on the second floor that lists approximately 2,200 men from Logan County who served during the Civil War. So we've been able to combine those three projects into this one big project, and we're about to finish all that.
That has to feel good to be seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, too, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it seems only appropriate, before we start looking into what the future has for us, that we take a peek back at the past. Tell us a little bit about the original statue and when it went up, and you were talking about how this program has enhanced what had been there originally.
Okay, the original project it started in 1867 by a group of individuals in Logan County who saw the need to recognize the contributions of those men who served during the Civil War, especially those who died. That was what the statue and the monument represented. And their names were listed on that monument, but they're gone now.
Erosion?
Erosion, yes. It's just really difficult to pick out any names anymore. The dedication of the statue took place on June 10th, 1869. And the dedication address was given by Governor and General Richard J. Oglesby. He was a very well-liked man around the county, eventually became a resident here, and of course is buried at Elkhart Cemetery. So a lot of links there to Governor Oglesby. And that was on the 10th of June, 1869, that dedication took place. And I understand there were about 5,000 people present from the county for that dedication.
How long has it been in the society's awareness that there was some structural issues with the original statue?
Well, I was compiling information on the names that I could get off the statue because they were reproduced on those bronze plates that are around the base. And I wanted to find out who those men were and how they died. And I started researching those. And I took some photographs about 2007, and those are in my book on the statue.
Which was published when?
2009. The photographs I processed showed me that there was a great amount of deterioration to that statue, and I started talking with members of the Abraham Lincoln Logan County Heritage Group, Paul Beaver and Charlie Ott and people like that, and they led me to Sonny Sullivan and Paul Gleason and Joanne Marlin, who became the co-chairs of the committee. And I immediately volunteered to be a part of that committee to replace that once it went down. So the photographs I took were just shortly, a little more than a year before it broke off and was destroyed. And those photos just showed that there was very little left.
It was obvious that it was just a matter of time before this was going to happen.
And we were starting to talk before it went down. And then, of course, in December, it was gone.
Which helped you really speed the process up of getting the replication, not the replication, but the new statue,
Yes.
because you already had wheels in motion?
Yes, we had already been talking about it, so it was, and it had been, the county board had been made aware of the deterioration and our concerns. And so it was already in the works to start working on doing something, either to preserve it or replace it, whatever needed to happen at that time.
I'm going to take us a step back before we go on to what the committee was doing. It sounded like you had been, the erosion was discovered or brought to the county's attention because of a project, a personal project you had already begun. And we're seeing some of the fruits of that labor right here. Can you tell us a little bit about what we have here? And
What I have to my left here is the research material I've collected over the years about the Civil War statue itself and about the men from Logan County who served in the Civil War. I retired in 2003 and took up a hobby of reading the old Lincoln Herald at the library. And in the process, I came across articles and articles during the Civil War period that were just fascinated me. Letters from the soldiers, activities that were going on in the county. And I gathered all those and I put them in this book called Logan County, Illinois during the Civil War. And it chronicles through the Herald what was going on in the county.
This is available where?
That's available here at the Society. It's a $25 book.
Any chance there's a copy at the local library?
Yes, I've donated copies to all the county libraries and historical societies and the Presidential Library in Springfield. So that, and during that process, I got interested in the statue, and I started researching those names. There were originally, the articles in 1869 said there were 326 names on the monument. Well, the bronze plaques have 322. So already they had lost 4. Well, in that research, I started finding more.
More that had been lost or more that had never been put on the plaque?
Never been there in the first place. So more men who died during the Civil War, bringing the total, as I said earlier, to 444. So it was another 122 that I found. Maybe those 4 missing ones are in that 122.
And any speculation on how they were omitted from the original plaque?
Yes, there were, these men served in 77 different regiments, some out-of-state regiments. So it was difficult for researchers in 1868, 1869 to come up with all those names.
Because they didn't have access to all the databases.
That's right. That's right. And some of the databases were weak. I've been working on collecting the histories of the regiments, and one of the histories is on the 7th Illinois Infantry, which was the first regiment formed during the Civil War. And one of the members of that, Daniel Lieb Ambrose, wrote a history of the 7th. And he commented in there that the archives, what they call it, the quartermaster lists or whatever, were not good. They were weak. And he made a mention of that in his history, that he went back to research that, and a lot of the names were missing that he knew people were involved in the 7th.
So the original passion of knowing that there was needing to be a replacement for the statue came from your project, your own personal project with the 2 books, and then all of the binders we have here, are they going over the individual names, or what exactly is the information documented here?
First 7 binders here are the service records for the 2,200 men I knew of, or know of, because I'm sure we'll find more. And the name board inside the courthouse is flexible to add more. The far end down there, we've got a couple histories, the 4th Cavalry and the 7th Infantry, and my research for this book. All of that stuff in that second crate there condensed to this book. And in here I have the full dedication address from Governor Oglesby. I have all the articles from the 1867 and 1869 Heralds about the dedication and the making of the statue and the monument, and the service records for those 444 men who died. So those are all in this book. And that's available here as well, another $20, or this is a $20 book. And we've been selling the pair for $40. So, and all that money goes to the Society. During the process of the existence of the committee, it has been going to the committee
For the new statue?
So all that income from that has been going to that. So.
Before we move on to the new statue, What happened to the remains of the old statue? Is it documented somewhere?
It's stored in one of the county buildings. Another thing we just began talking about was putting a display case in the second floor of the courthouse where the rifle that was used to model for the statue be on display, the head of the statue, what remains of it, is going to be on display, and maybe some of the other parts. The torso is at the county building over on 3rd Street, I believe, and just too heavy and too big to put anywhere, but the county's going to hang on to it until there's a determination of what needs to be done with it. One of the discussion points was to articulate it like the old Greek statues where they find parts and they hang them on a metal armature to kind of put them in the place they originally were.
Certainly.
So we have discussed that, but it's sounds like an expensive part of the project.
One step at a time, right?
Yes.
Understood.
Get this part done first.
Well, before the statue actually fell off its pedestal, the committee was already in the works trying to decide how to go about it. Was restoration ever a thought, or was it already beyond that? And how did the committee, what's the venue the committee has been through to get to where we are today?
The statue was evaluated by David Seagraves, who was commissioned to do the replacement statue. At that point, it was obvious that there was no restoration possible to save the details without making it a miniature of itself. And the material, the marble that it was made of, had just granulated and looked like sugar or salt. You know, it was just, you could brush off the surface just like that. So the elements over the years have just ruined the stone, and there was nothing to do to save it. It would have had to have been replicated and replaced, even from the beginning. You know. So
Before we move on from the old, do we know who the original artist was and what or where the stone came from?
the original artist was a monument company that was right here in town, and Bushway and Baldwin were the two stone cutters that worked here in town, and they fabricated the entire monument.
Base as well as the statue?
Yes. The base it's sitting on now is not the original base, but they manufactured the whole thing. As a matter of fact, in the old photos of the statue, you can read Baldwin's name across the bottom. And in later pictures, you can't see it at all. It's just gone, as are all the other details in the statue. And then Bushway and Baldwin produced it and assembled it, and then were part of the dedication ceremony. So
Do we know what or where the stone came from?
it was supposed to be a Carrara type marble from the United States. Now, I don't know exactly where it came from. I don't recall the article stating where the marble came from.
It didn't necessarily have a local connection, unlike the people who built it, or?
I don't know where the sources of marble are. There's a place in Indiana, I believe, where they can get marble, and now out west, which probably wasn't part of the United States back then.
Well, you first assessed trying to refurbish it, and when that was obviously not a route you could go, how did the committee decide, or what were the different venues the committee looked at on trying to honor what the statue had originally been constructed to honor?
Originally, when we first met, the committee was unanimous that they would like to have it back as a marble or stone. And we started inviting various artisans to come talk to us about their thoughts on stone versus maybe bronze. So that was an early thought, and the more we listened, the more we leaned towards the bronze.
Because?
Because of the deterioration of the old statue. If you see photos of it and close-up photos of the parts of the statue, you can see how in 140 years it went bad. And you think about statues in Greece that have been around 2,000 years and are in real good shape. You are much better shape than our statue. Then you wonder if maybe the quality of the marble was not up to par, and that maybe a bronze statue would be a better choice.
That or our elements are a little more demanding than maybe they have in Italy. So you decided to go on the bronze. How did you choose the artist who was going to be handling the project?
We talked to several, and the priciness of some of them knocked them out real quick. We knew of David Seagraves because he had worked for the county before in restoring the Indian mother that's on the courthouse lawn. She had a hand broken off, and he reproduced that hand and fastened it back on and refurbished the little statue there, and had done an excellent job. So we invited him to bid and come and talk to us and to tell us about his works, and then a subcommittee of our bigger committee went to look at his work, and they came back with glowing recommendations that he does excellent work, and the cost of a bronze statue from him was less than half of some of the others that had bid on it. So that was an easier decision to make.
Mr. Seagrave, correct?
Yes.
Am I pronouncing correctly? Does Mr. Seagrave have other statues in the area that you were able to go and look at as well, that will be sister statues to this one now, or brother statues?
I don't recall where. See, he's from Elizabeth, Illinois, and there's a lot of his work in that area, and that's where our team went to take a look at that. I didn't participate in that trip, but Sonny Sullivan and let's see, David Doolin went on that trip. Joe Minchell went on that trip, and I think there was a fourth. John Sutton went on that trip. So those four men went up and evaluated David's work.
When did the committee sign off on, yes, we are wanting you to do this, we're wanting it to go in the bronze, start manufacturing, not manufacturing, but doing the artwork?
Okay, that was late in 2010. We talked about with David what our expectations were, that we try to match the statue physical characteristics as closely as possible to the original, so that we had that same image.
Do we know who the original statue was based on? Is there an individual?
I have been told there was an individual from Logan County who the statue was based on. I don't recall that name right now. I believe he was in the Bagalka family, but I don't think his name was. I think he's one of the ancestors in the Bagalka family. So Harold Bagalka knows that name and has told me a couple of times, but it just hasn't stuck in my.
So the image is actually the image of a Logan County resident.
That's right. That's exactly right. And David has looked at old photographs to make sure he matched that image as closely as he could.
You had mentioned the committee, after doing their research, were swayed to go with the bronze rather than sticking with the stone that the original was done in. You had said that, they wanted the facial image to be as close to the original as possible. Were there other things that were just mandatory that this new statue have that were same, or that areas that you were okay with it forging in a different direction?
I think just telling David that we wanted it to match closely, he understood what we meant, and he's got the cartridge packet on the statue just as it was. The bayonet scabbard is just as it was. The folds and the clothes look pretty close to what was original. So, in the old statue, we had lost the rifle, many, many years ago, it was gone. So he took an 1864 Civil War rifle that was found in the vault at the courthouse, and he reproduced it in bronze. So I watched him measure it out, and he just did detail picture of it so that he got it accurate. And the original statue, I don't know if it had a bayonet on it, but it was missing even in the 1903 photographs that I saw. But we have the bayonet back, so it's back on there.
So there's actually some details in the newer piece that were either absent or have been long gone from the original.
That's right. That's right. And I think David's done an excellent job. So it's going to come in next Monday and be installed. So we're anticipating, or we are excited about seeing that get installed. The bolts to mount it were installed yesterday. And of course, the interpretive board's already in. The name board is complete. So we're ready to go on most of those fronts. So we'll be ready.
Now, as you had mentioned earlier, none of this will actually, we won't have any original components left because the pedestal had already been replaced from the original, and now the statue will be...
Base at the bottom, the steps,
Yes.
that's been replaced. The stela on which the statue stands is original.
Okay.
So we tried to leave as much of that as possible. We were concerned about the top 3 feet. If you look at it, it's badly corroded like the statue was. But we had 3 or 4 construction people look at it, and they said it's solid. It'll hold whatever weight you put on it.
Okay.
And of course, a bronze statue is much lighter than a stone statue. So we feel very confident about that.
So a bit of the history, of the original history has been maintained there.
Yes.
Wonderful.
And if you look at that stela in the right light, get the angles just right, you can see the names on it. Up towards the foot of the statue, they've been protected by an overhang, and some of those names are pretty visible up there. But the farther down you come on the stela, the lighter they are. And
The more erosion
they are.
has occurred.
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean for you, who've obviously had a passion for looking into the past, to see this replaced, to have this memorial restored and going on into the generation for Logan County's residents?
Well, as I looked at the statue prior to it falling, I kept thinking, boy, this just isn't honoring the men who died or the men who fought as it was intended to. So we're getting back to the place where we're honoring those men who died in replacing the statue and putting up that interpretive board. And we're going beyond that and recognizing the men who actually left Logan County, fought in that war, and came back as well. So we have brought all that history to now so that other people can look at it and enjoy it. And all this information that I have in these books over here is going to be housed right here at the Society so that researchers who come in can have access to it. So and it's going to free up some space in my office and home too. So we're going to have all that here and available for researchers in the future.
You realize the extra desk space means you have room for a new project to begin.
Yes, but I haven't chosen one yet. So take a vacation for a while first, because I've been working with this since 2003. So it's been 8 years now that I've been working on the Civil War in Logan County. So, and there are things there that need to be done more in detail, but I'd like to take a rest from that or look at different projects as well.
Now, what happens to the committee after this next week when the new statue is in place?
Well, the committee was intended to be a sunset committee, and when the project was done, the committee would be disbanded. The We do have a few things we want to look at in terms of, like the display case up in the upper floor.
To hold the original statue parts.
Right. Maybe refurbishing the bronze plaques that are on the statue. We had discussed about removing those and replacing them. But that was going to be a $12,000 project of its own, and we decided, the interpretive sign was $1,500. So a big savings there in doing the same thing. So, and then leave those bronze plaques alone. Just leave them there. But I see some rosettes that are missing and some screws that need to be tightened, and maybe polish those brass plaques a little bit. Not too expensive stuff.
But some little detail work that's still out there that the committee needs to address before disbanding?
Yes. And of course, right now, we're working on organizing the dedication. So we're getting all those plans in place, and we've got the speakers lined up, and we've got music lined up, and we've got refreshments lined up, because we are going to have a reception in the rotunda after the dedication is over. And then people can go up and take a look at that name board.
And again, will you repeat for us the days and location of the dedication?
The dedication will be Saturday, April 9th, and it will be at 2 p.m. And we'll start at 2 p.m. and probably last an hour, and then the reception inside the courthouse. And it's all at the courthouse lawn, so everybody knows where that is.
They should if they live in Logan County.
Yes.
Anything I haven't asked that you would like us to touch on, or something that we haven't covered that you would like to add?
I think we've pretty well covered all the details here. I do remember that there were apparently 5,000 people in attendance at the original.
No pressure to have higher numbers at this one?
Would be nice. We've sent out invitations to all the governmental bodies in the county and all the veterans groups, because there's just so many more veterans groups now than there were 150 years ago. So we hopefully will have a very, very good turnout.
Well, Mr. Donath, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for sitting here and talking with me about this, and thank you for all the work that you've put in over the last 8 years, bringing us up to this point in our history.
Well, you're welcome, Natalie.
Thoroughly enjoyed
Thank you for coming in for the interview.
My pleasure.
Thank you.